Alright, so I'm actually just recording this real quick, after, like, way after I did the recording for the video, as in, like, the audio of me talking, and also after I recorded the gameplay, and I just wanted to let you guys know, like, when I recorded the gameplay to be in the background of this video, like, I haven't played Call of Duty in, like, weeks, you know? Like, I hadn't played Call of Duty in weeks when I fucking got online to record this shit. So, it's, you know, things got better further into the video, but at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty fucking embarrassing. So, I know I'm trash. You don't have to tell me about it. I know it sucked. It's better later on. So don't say anything. I went slightly positive in, like, the second match, so don't ride my nuts about how it's bad, okay? Thank you. I know I just sound... I was just a little self-conscious about it, because it was honestly really embarrassing. So just don't say anything about it, because I know! Okay, enjoy the video. Alright, so, you guys might remember me talking about... asking you, like, what should I write an essay about? And I did, like, an Instagram, you know, story vote. And it was between, like, writing an essay about skateboarding or writing an essay about, like, sniping in Call of Duty. And skateboarding actually won the poll, because I couldn't decide. So I was like, you know, I'll just let these guys decide, because I thought both options were good. And skateboarding won the poll, and I just said fuck it, and I was like, nah, I don't even want to do that. So I suddenly just decided I had to change a part, and I decided I'm going to do sniping. I wrote the essay, and it actually did pretty well. I got like an 80 out of 100, an 88 out of 100. And I decided, well, fuck it, you know, people might want to hear it. So I'm going to read the essay out to you. Like, no joke. I'm actually going to read it out. And I'm also going to read out, because the professor of the, you know, the class that I wrote it for, which was, you know, my English college class, he actually had some, you know, he gave feedback on it. So I'm going to read that out too. You're going to see his reaction to it. Just so you know, this is, like, actually pretty legit. Like, I really went all out with this. So it's pretty detailed, and this video is probably not going to be very short. So, yeah, that's the whole intro, and I'm just going to get right into it right now. Call of Duty is one of the biggest names in gaming. It's up there with Minecraft, Tetris, and Grand Theft Auto. Almost everyone you come across, gamer or not, will have heard of it before. It's a long-running series of first-person shooter games published by Activision. Almost every installment has a multiplayer mode, and in this paper, we will focus on a specific way of playing that mode, sniping. In Call of Duty, sniping is a very famous playstyle with a distinguishable community of players. This writing is intended to give you a deep look at the playstyle that community has been built around. We'll start by covering the different ways sniper rifles are used. Then we'll explain the finer details of how snipers take advantage of the features of the game. And finally, we'll end with a word about the controversy surrounding sniping. How complicated can sniping be? You just point and shoot, right? Yes, actually, but there's a few distinct ways to point and shoot. Namely, hard scoping, quick scoping, no scoping, and trick shotting. Hard scoping is the most similar to how sniper rifles are used in real life. A shot is considered a hard scope if the sniper scopes in on an area they expect someone to walk into and then fires when their expectation is fulfilled. This style is commonly looked down upon. People say it's unfair because it's so easy to do, yet so hard to defend against. Quick scoping still has its detractors, but in general it's more respected. A shot is considered a quick scope if the player's... Quick scoping still has its detractors, but it's generally more respected. A shot is considered a quick scope if the player scopes in, lines up the shot, and fires as fast as possible. It all happens in the blink of an eye. If too much time passes, around a second or so, it will be considered a hard scope. It's a very aggressive and unrealistic sniping technique used to take out players that are outside the intended range of a sniper rifle. It's not unheard of for a sniper to defeat fully automatic weapons even at close range by quick scoping, but it takes a lot of practice to be able to do this with any amount of consistency. In these fights, a missed shot almost invariably means death, so accuracy and fast reflexes are a must. No scoping is exactly what it sounds like, firing without use of the scope. In Call of Duty, if a player aims down their sights and shoots at a target, the bullet will go exactly where they aim. But players can also shoot without aiming down their sights, firing from the hip instead. This is known as hip fire. It's less accurate but much faster. Hip fire is useful when one is suddenly faced with an enemy that's only a few yards away. In that situation, accuracy means nothing and speed means everything. No scoping just means hip firing a sniper rifle. At first, At first, this may sound better than quickscoping for close-range targets. If someone is that close to a sniper, why should the scope be used at all? After all, it's essentially a magnifying glass. It makes everything bigger so that faraway targets that would otherwise be the size of fingernails are now large enough to be easily seen and aimed at. In a close-range gunfight, that same magnification is extremely disorienting. Wouldn't it be better to go without it? Well, when a player hip-fires, a game mechanic called hip-fire spread kicks in. This is what causes the reduced accuracy. The bullets will be spread out in the general direction of your target, as opposed to going exactly where your gun was pointed. The problem with no-scoping is that every gun has a different amount of hip-fire spread, and sniper rifles have the worst spread by far. This is done on purpose to reduce their close-range effectiveness. After all, if a sniper rifle had good hip-firing, it would be the perfect weapon at long range while also outperforming close-range weapons. For this reason, the sniper will not generally no-scope their target unless they're close enough to kiss. It's not a very effective strategy, but it's not the least effective. That title goes to the last kind of shot, the trick shot. A trick shot is a quick scope or no-scope performed after some kind of maneuver. Most commonly, the sniper will cycle between their weapons or do a spin before firing. They may even do so in midair after jumping from a height, firing before reaching the ground. That concludes our discussion of what kinds of sniping there are. Now we'll move on to sniper class setups. In Call of Duty multiplayer, every time a player spawns, they choose one of their custom classes, also known as loadouts, to fight with. Classes generally consist of a primary weapon, a secondary weapon, attachments for those weapons, various equipment such as grenades and ground mines, special abilities called perks, and lastly, kill streaks, which are rewards the player receives for getting several kills in a row without dying. Snipers that are focused on hard scoping will almost always have some sort of ground mine in their classes. This is because, while most other players are constantly running around the battlefield, these snipers pick a certain spot to stay in, usually a building with a window, and shoot from there. A well-placed ground mine will blow up enemies that try to sneak up on the sniper from behind while they're looking through the scope. On the other hand, snipers that are focused on quick scoping will do everything they can to increase the aim down sight, ADS, speed of their rifles, because the faster they can scope in, the more likely they are to win fights. Another crucial difference between hard scoping and quick scoping classes is choice of weapon. In shooting games, there is normally an option to see the stats of a weapon, like damage, mobility, range, rate of fire, and so on. A common mistake new gamers make is thinking that a gun with a high damage value is always better than a gun with a low damage value. Despite seeming so obviously true, this is actually false. 9 times out of 10, the high damage gun has a low rate of fire, and the low damage gun has a high rate of fire. The cancellation effect occurs, and both guns end up being equal. They have the same amount of damage per second, or DPS. Hard scopers can afford to use sniper rifles that require more than one shot to kill, so they can be seen sometimes using the low damage, high rate of fire rifles. They may even add a suppressor, an attachment which helps them stay hidden but further reduces damage. Quick scopers, however, need the most damage they can possibly get. It was mentioned earlier that a missed shot at close range almost invariably means death. A landed shot that didn't kill is almost just as bad. It's not totally unheard of to win with a second shot, but it's definitely not something to rely on, so quick scopers do everything they can to ensure their rifle kills with one squeeze of the trigger. This means unsuppressed, high damage rifles only. One part of a sniper class that is not decided by hard scoping or quick scoping is the secondary weapon. The choice is generally between a pistol and a rocket launcher, although some games allow more choices like shotguns or machine pistols. Snipers almost never bring rocket launchers with them because the other options allow them to defend themselves more easily at close range, which is very important. That leaves shotguns, machine pistols, and regular pistols. Shotguns and machine pistols both offer more firepower, but it takes longer to switch to them. Regular pistols, on the other hand, can be switched to almost instantly. The trade-off is up to the player. Some people have a bone to pick with snipers, but quick scoping in particular is constantly burning in the flames of controversy. It seems half of the Call of Duty player base hates it and says that it's too easy, while the other half respects it and insists that it takes just as much skill as other playstyles, if not more. There's a lot of numbers, video rants, YouTube comments, and personal experiences involved in this debate, and it's made even more complicated by the fact that quick scoping is objectively easier in some games than it is in others. An essay just as big as this one could be written about the conflict. Put simply, people that dislike it point out that it takes a weapon which should only work at long range and makes it work at all ranges, and that the time to kill is unfairly low. People that like it point out that quick scoping is very hard to learn and requires a great amount of patience, dedication, and accuracy to pull off consistently. Why not try Call of Duty for yourself and develop your own opinion? There are games on almost every platform, so pick one and have fun. Okay, so yep, there you go. That was the whole entire essay read out word for word, in case you were curious. If I take a look at the recording time, it looks like this... If I take a look at the recording time, it looks like I'm at about 11 minutes. So, yeah, not insanely long, but like I said, it was about 3 pages and what? 1,477 words. So, yeah. Okay, so now we have the professor's remarks. And basically, the professor actually he read the essay and he responded to it. So now I'm gonna read that out so you hear what he had to say and what he thought about it. I think this is a good essay. It's well organized, it gives clear categories and good definitions. It's solid. You're clearly in control of the facts and ideas that you're explaining. My big note, which I'll make below, is to include some quotes from and about the different kinds of snipers. I think you were probably concerned about length. I get that, but I do think a few quotes from the relevant experts, known COD snipers / sniper haters, would be a good addition. I think that was definitely a good point. The other thing we really need is some cited sources. Moving forward, it would also be really important. Moving forward, it will also be very important to include sources and in-text citations. He's talking about the other essays for later. We're just learning all of this as a class. Doing so is to do your basic academic due diligence. Properly attributing work helps one avoid inadvertent plagiarism. I do not have any plagiarism concerns with this piece. We're still in a learning phase, and I think you just know most of this stuff. Which is true. This was all off the top of my head. You want a reader, familiar with COD or not, to be able to see where you're getting your information from, and to be able to check it out for themselves. Even when you know the info cold, it's really important to include citations. Cold meaning like, off the top of my head. So, for the notes he said, as far as like how to improve it, notes, add a title. Could add some facts. This is like as he was reading the article, or as he was reading my essay, he was typing this stuff down like, as he was reading. So add a title. Could add some facts about how many people play each of these big titles to help your reader have a better understanding of community size. Big titles is in like the different Call of Duty, or no, not the different Call of Duty games, but the other games I mentioned like Minecraft and whatnot. Saying like how many people actually play those, so you have better understanding. And then he said, narrowing down to snipers in COD is a good way to take something that could have been enormous to a point where it's specific and manageable. The thesis gives your reader a good idea of what to expect. Breaking sniping down into different schools with specific definitions is good, and it's the kind of strategy that really helps the reader understand what you're communicating. Hard scoping. I think the note about it being regarded as unfair is a good point. Rather than saying people, do some research. Find a specific example and include it. Maybe a quote from a famous player or poll results from a respected gaming site. Same basic note on quickscoping. I think that the definition is good and your writing helps us understand, but having specific examples and quotes to show the detractors versus respecters would help. Same note for no-scoping. A quote here could help a reader understand how it's regarded in the gaming community. The hipfire definitions are helpful and give information that clarifies the idea for your reader. You've included some good basic examples of trick shots that help readers picture what it would look like. The loadout class discussion helps provide good context. What did I almost say? Good context? Good fucking sake. Good context. Wait, did I say it right, or am I fucking tripping, or did I say it right the first time? I think I said context. I don't know what's going on, whatever. The loadout / class discussion helps provide good context for the reader. It gives a fuller picture of how the game works. The correction about damage velocity / fire rate is helpful. The list of stats to consider is also helpful. The detail about why a mine is good for players who are going to snipe is also helpful. The discussion of secondaries also helps add more clarity to the world. The final paragraph is another point where you could do some research and insert a quote rather than saying some people. It would help us understand the dynamics in the COD sniping community versus non-sniping community even more. The ending note where you invite the reader inside is a good close. And that's all that the professor had to say. So, cool. I got like an 80 out of 100, I think, for it, which is pretty decent. Yeah, it actually went pretty well. I actually had fun writing it, so that's cool. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. So hope you enjoyed.